I see a couple of new faces. I'm happy to do like a 5-minute recap of who we are and try to keep it on the shorter side. Obviously, this is a community kind of, I call them, I don't call them office hours, but community hours that anyone can ask any question. We're here to help if you're developed a metaverse server and a spatial fabric. We're here to help answer questions about what it is, the direction, the open standards. We're literally an open book. And again, this is about building a community that doesn't want to see yourself stuck. This is you don't want to see yourself stuck with a device that you're hard coded with the AI and you're forced to use their software or build in their ecosystem where they own your data. If you think about it, Eighth Wall just announced that they're no longer moving forward with their tools. So everyone that built AR experiences using Eighth Wall, it's going to go away. When the HoloLens decided to stop, supporting everything, all the companies that built software for the HoloLens no longer will work on any other device. When AltSpace went out of business, you lost your locations that you built. And if you think about the World Wide Web, when you build a website, you don't have to worry about Chrome or Safari going out of business. There will always be a browser that can find your web server. And you don't have to worry about people telling you what to build or what not to build. You don't have to worry about people taking money away from what you build on your website. So you have complete control. And the open metaverse has to have those same nuances. But the only difference between websites and the metaverse is things are proximity based, meaning that they need to know where you're at, either in a virtual world or in the real world, and connect you to AR services. And you need scale, which is typically very easy on web servers, but extremely hard in metaverse applications where you need avatars and sick stuff and spatial audio. Most technologies are extremely limited to a small snow globe that limits you to a finite amount of users that can speak. There's like WebRTC audio. There is different scaling technologies, but typically you're relegated to like 2040 real-time users in your space. But the whole idea of the metaverse was the ability, just like when you open up a Chrome browser, you now can easily go to any website on the planet. You don't have to go in and out of different tools to get to these websites. There's an open ecosystem where once you learn how to use a web browser, you instantly go there. The metaverse, we believe, is the same. The metaverse term is an equivalent or a parallel to the World Wide Web. So I would just say anything you want to say about the World Wide Web, enter metaverse for all things 3D and real time. And so the metaverse is anything that you see through a 3D browser. And the challenge is we don't have a 3D browser until today. And we are demonstrating a 3D browser. We're actually a browser in a browser because we had to use WebXR to demonstrate the technologies that you can see here today. And we built basically an unlimited map system that includes a digital twin of our solar system, and it actually goes out through the universe. It's pretty endless map where you can build for a digital twin of Earth, which you have to own your land to be able to own to create a space to attach to that area. So all the Walmarts all over the world, you would not be able to take ownership. Walmart would own that space, create their own metaverse servers, create their own information, whether it's visually for VR or services that you connect to. They're fully in charge of what happens at that space, whether it's private or public. And basically, it creates the construct of a fully open metaverse. And so now, the same way you can go to one browser and go to 100 million websites, you will be able to go into a single 3D browser and get access to the unlimited spatial fabrics that exist out there and be able to traverse it with one or many different avatars and personas. And so instead of these being a whole bunch of wall garden systems where you can only build using their proprietary tools, this is the first time that anyone can build tools for this open ecosystem, just like WordPress was to websites. And so RP1 right now are two things combined. We are a browser and a universal spatial fabric. And after and this is just to demo everything, all the technologies I just described to you. And very soon, we're going to be building a native browser from the ground up. And the reason why that needs to happen is that we are using WebXR right now to build out this demo and enable you to start building. But WebXR is extremely limited. It is limited in caching, memory, and just overall construct. In fact, the entire web stack was not designed to power an open metaverse for two main reasons. The first reason, it's not proximity based. And what I mean by proximity based, if I'm going to walk around the real world and connect to different AR services, I need a map system and the ability to know where I'm at in that map to present me content. Where a website, you just go to a website and just it fetches a web server and you just see the pages, right? It's not tied into actual location-based immersive content. The second thing, which is extremely important, is the future of the spatial internet is going to be comprised of hundreds of millions of real time services. And real time services is real time software, whether it's AI, NPC, payments, chessboards, and games, and anything imaginable that can run on any server anywhere in the world. You need to be able to take that piece of software, anchor it to any location, whether in the real world or fictitiously in just a virtual space, and for it to instantly connect to all users with no installations whatsoever. So just like how the World Wide Web, you do not have to install, you easily go to a website and it all streams to you. We are building the open foundation of how one could build their own metaverse server, their own spatial fabric, be able to grab any service built by anyone in the world to make it more interactive at your space. And the job of a browser
Hey,
is to
Welcome. Is
have a
anyone over here
rendering.
that's still connected?
I'm sorry.
Oh, you keep going. I'm
Oh,
just talking to these guys over here.
well, you're loud, so we hear you really. So so the browser's job is to be able to have a agnostic rendering engine, an agnostic VPS system, to be able to connect to any spatial fabric in the world, and to connect the services that are at that location. And so and do it fully agnostic to ownership or anything. So the people that own their services, they own their container, they charge for those services however they want to. The people that own their spatial fabric own all their data, all their revenue, just like you do with your own website. And this is the construct of how an open metaverse will be built. And all the things we're talking about are going to be open standards. And RP1, once a native browser is built, will be just a service provider where you can choose. It's your choice. A browser can go directly to your quote unquote website, your spatial fabric, and you would have to figure out how to scale it and add audio and all the things so people could be interactive, or you could choose to connect it to or attach it to RP1's universal spatial fabric that will provide you those services while enabling you to retain full ownership of your website and your servers and everything. And so we just become a service provider, and eventually there'll be many service providers as well. um, RP1, not only were we trying to tell you about our services, but really that's the last thing we want to discuss. It's really about the open standards. And very soon, I can't announce it now, but I'm hopeful very soon we are going to announce the working with a major standard body on the building the construct of the native browser and have that up and running in the next 6 to 12 months, depending on how fast we can get funds from companies and individuals alike. And once that native browser is built, you would be able to take that, just like Chromium, you would be able to take that browser and build your own browser, or you can start using it freely, and that browser will be able to connect to RP1 and anyone else's spatial fabric for the entire world to get access to. And so this is really, really important. And I'll end this and we can open up Q&A. But right now, without an open 3D browser, the future of AR glasses, you're going to be hard coded on the AI and the things that you can use. You're going to be forced to use their app system. You're going to be forced to give revenue and your data to the people that are building out the AR glasses and the different devices. With an open 3D browser, just like the web browser, it will be device agnostic, meaning it should work on every single device. So if one device does not do well and a new device comes out, you don't have to worry about rebuilding any of the content, all the things you do. This is the importance of a truly open standard. And so if we don't unite as an industry, then we're not going to be able to expand and really create it for the masses. And it's going to take hundreds of years to create an open metaverse without everyone really agreeing upon what those standards look like. And RP1 happens to be at the forefront because not only do we see how to build all these layers, but we're willing to give most of it away for free and also enable everyone to join and start building the different components. And so if some of you know this past Monday, we just announced that you can now build your own metaverse server and your spatial fabric on your server. You have the ability to attach it to RP1, whether it's on planet Earth. So we have a full one-to-one scale planet Earth map system, or you can build it outside of our solar system if it has nothing to do with the real world. So you can build anything you want, and people will instantly get access to it and be able to see your content, and you own everything that you build. You can also start building tools and things to help people build their metaverse servers. We have people that have reached out that want to build hosting companies for people that are not technically inclined to build their own metaverse servers, just like you build a web server, and provide those services for a small fee. I believe people are starting to build tools like WordPress for this open ecosystem, and this is a complete opportunity for everyone to join and build whatever they're interested in building. And I know, Biggie, I know you brought up services. We want services yesterday, believe me, but we are a small company, and the native browser is needed to get outside of the web stack to enable a fully open ecosystem for real-time services. And right now, we do have a couple that shows how services easily work, that you just walk near it and instantly you connect to a server not on the browser and instantly be able to interact with it. So we have like a Google search, a light switch, the ability to move that ship up and down, and a movie over here. Those are all running off of completely separate servers that have absolutely nothing to do with the browser, to showcase the technologies to make this all come together. And we're going to be giving that away very soon as an open standard API that makes that all possible. So that's a lot to say. I'd love to open up just for any Q&A, and then we can also go technical. So people are building their metaverse servers and spatial fabrics, have questions, concerns, compliments, anything imaginable. This is an open forum, so you're happy to share anything. So yeah, Big, I see you raising your hand. Go for it.
So I guess maybe I'm a little confused. I guess can you
Sure.
go over the difference between a tool and a service? Because I might
Yeah.
be
So
confused with
yeah,
what I'm trying to accomplish. Because
I
I'll just tell you. So I started coding a selfie camera, right, to take for people to take pictures in here.
I love it.
But I couldn't get it to the point where it actually could test the services. Like I was trying to connect it. I got it in the database. I got it, set up there. I got it all the way to the point to where I click test on the site, and then nothing happens. And then that's when you guys inform me that you guys haven't even turned that feature on yet. So I guess
Yeah.
it's kind of a two-part question. Why do I have access to something that I can't use on your website in your developer center? And then two, what's the difference between tools and services so I can
Yep.
kind of
I
understand?
think I'll let Dean answer that, but I'll give a general quick question. So the way
Sure.
I'm using it is that people are going to need tools to build their metaverse server and their spatial fabric and be able to deploy content that has everything to do with just their servers. So we have shown a one way on how to build a metaverse server, and we provided certain things to outfit your server with content. But that doesn't mean there's 1,000 different ways that can be done. Just like there's 1,000 different ways to build a website, right? And
Right.
your own
Right.
web server. And so that is where you could build tools for that ecosystem. Okay. And then there's services that will also be tools and other things like payments and AI and everything. So you can bring in those things. We don't have the ability because of the web stack, not RP1, but because that it's built in WebXR in the current web stack, for you to inject different tools in that are all proximity based to interact with and whatnot. That will be needed for the native browser. And the reason why it's on the website, and I'll talk with Dean, it should have a coming soon, because we want people to know that eventually you're going to be able to do all of this,
Right.
and really show the entire ecosystem. But for today, this is what you can do for now until
Uh,
we get to the native browser. So that's
I'll
really
give
the
you some
purpose of that.
feedback because there
Please.
was a certain roundabout way that I got into the services menu. It
Okay.
only shows up when you click on, like, you have your menu on your left hand side.
Uh-huh.
When you click on a certain, like uh like a certain menu option, the settings and services show up, and then you can click it, and then you can actually go into it and edit and create services and connect them. Like I said, I got all the way to the final part of actually clicking deploy or clicking
And
production,
you were like,
and
no.
I'm like, "What is going
So
on? Why
let
is it?" So I spent
Yeah,
about 3 or 4 hours playing around with it. Then I threw my hands up in frustration, and that's where
sorry
my
about that.
tone came from in the Discord because, I was just a little irritated because I just wasted my time with something that I couldn't even do. So
Yeah.
that's kind of
let
where.
me give
Go
you
for it.
a slightly more accurate answer than what Sean gave you. So the services are actually coded into the developer center because we use them ourselves. So the services like the light switches and the buttons, and we have the services that are currently running right now. We've got about a dozen of them. Primitives is one of them, and the primitive service gives us the buttons. Um, but the friends menu, the registry settings that give you your presets for your audio. There's like I said, there's about a dozen services that we have connected ourselves. The others, and the map service, of course. And so what you're installing when you install the package that we give you is you're installing a map service onto your server. And so the map service currently runs as an independent service, but does not connect back to RP1. So the services menu that is available within the Developer Center is to allow your service to be known to RP1. It's not so that you can publish your service to the world, it's to make a back end connection. And so we didn't roll it out initially because we thought A, it would be too confusing, and B, we also run out of time. And so we have to present it in a way that's understandable. But what happens is you will connect your map service and other future services, but let's just stick with the map service for now. You will go into your company settings and you will then connect your company and your map service to RP1. And that will form a three-way communication between RP1, your service on a back-end channel, and the client. And so when a client is logged in and standing around and within your within the proximity of your spatial fabric, you will actually get a token, and this is already built in, so you don't have to do any work. But your map service will get a token and know who the person is by persona, and then you can decide whether or not to give that persona permissions to say edit or theoretically even view your map. Right now, all map viewing is public, but editing is not public. And so the service option in the Developer Center gives you the ability to connect your service to RP1. To publish your service for everyone to use, that is the big deal. That is the metaverse. That's what RP1 was built for. That's why we started our company. That's the whole premise behind building what we build. And while we do have a few services running, in order to get a service running inside of a spatial fabric so that other people can use it, for security purposes, we need to properly memory quarantine it, and we need to quarantine the code that you're running. The only way to do that in WebXR is using iframes. It's extraordinarily clunky and extraordinarily bloated, and we are already pushing the limits so far of what WebXR can do. To try to multiply that by 4 and kind of rig in services, it's nearly impossible. So just know that the service options there are not exactly for what you think they are. Again, to recap, so allow you to connect your map to us and any other service that you build to us, even though you can't really publish your service yet. And that will have to wait until the native browser, because we don't have the bandwidth and WebXR doesn't have the bandwidth to actually incorporate services into here. But that said, we're going to be giving you access through the map to the services that are already bundled into the browser, which would be the primitives. And you will be able to use those primitives inside of the map in the not too distant future. So, for example, switches are part of the primitive services. So, we will enable you to put a switch inside of your map, inside of your fabric, so that people can get access to that switch. And then we're also going to let you put, let's say, a light into your fabric. It doesn't have to be connected a switch to a light, but you could connect switch to anything that's switchable. And then if you put a light in your fabric and a switch in the fabric, and the switch goes on and off, and you tie the two together, then the light will go on and off. And so the 4 primitives that we have are switches, buttons, transforms, and what's the other?
And well, I'll give you an example. If you guys,
What's the-
the
what's
spaceship
the fourth
behind
one?
you that has a floating
Yeah.
switch on it that makes the spaceship go up and down,
Text.
and it turns the thrusters on and off. That is a primitive service. So that means you will be able to move
Yep.
items up and down in different directions using that primitive. And eventually there will be, again, hundreds of millions of services and tools that you can use to manipulate and bring to life your spatial fabric. And
All right, so you're cutting out there, but
yeah,
I'll
sorry
take
about
over
that.
again. So we also talked on Discord with someone about potentially integrating some more services until the native browser is available for you to start dropping your own in. So beyond the 4 again are switches, buttons, text, and transforms. And so if there's once we get to a certain point with the scene assembler, I'll talk about that in a moment as well. We will maybe work with some of you to create another service. Someone mentioned they had a piano service. I'm not sure piano would be our first choice of a global service that would be useful for everyone. It's a cool service nonetheless, but maybe there's a global service or two that we can incorporate into the browser that would be useful and then everyone would have access to that. But once we get to the native browser, sky's the limit. You guys will be able to build all your own services, create them, drop them in, and go to town with it. And the great thing is also one more thing, and I'll end this topic unless someone has a follow-up question, is when you build a service, you're not necessarily building, you're not building it for your fabric. You're building your service globally. So if you were to build a service and you were to offer that to the public, then anyone could use that service. So let's say I were to build a game, like a poker table. I could take that poker table and drop it in my fabric, but I could also let anyone take that poker table and drop it in their fabric too. That's the great thing about services, is they're portable anywhere in the known metaverse.
Yep. So if you build a chess game, which is absolutely amazing, is that you'll be able to take that chess game and in with the browser, like the end game would be is you build a digital twin of your house, you put it at the actual location of the house on the universal map system in RP1, and I can go to your house in VR, go right and sit on the couch because you built the digital twin. I know exactly where your couch is, and there's a little table right there. And then let's say Harris built a game of chess. I will be able to grab his chess service, put it right on the table. Maybe I pay Harris $1 every time I use the chess game, or it's $5 a month, or $10 and unlimited use, whatever his arrangement is. It's up to him what he monetizes. He keeps all that revenue. We can drop that chess game, and I do not have to install, nor does the other person have to install that game of chess. It instantly just works. And not only will he have that chess service, but he'll have other services running in his house that will control his light switches. So he can just look over and dim the lights. He will be able to look outside the pool and change the pool temperature. He'll be able to, the electrician comes over, he'll be able to turn on an overlay that sees where all of his conduit is throughout his entire house. Plumbers will be able to come in and be able to look at the plumbing. Like eventually everything is going to be spatial, and you'll be able to run and control what happens in your house by connecting to eventually hundreds of thousands of different services that you may want to interact with at your location. And that will work with corporations, education, everything imaginable. It's a fully programmable, just like you can bring in any plugin for websites, you have the ability to bring in real-time services for anything you can imagine built by anyone in the world. And the browser's job is just to connect to a spatial fabric and allow someone to connect to the services and interact with other people. And just like how Chrome allows anyone to connect to any web server to view and interact with the website. And so hopefully I answered that question. If there's follow-up questions, feel free. If there's anything
Yeah.
you want to bring
Uh,
up, go for it.
hey, Sean and
What's up,
Dave.
Nick?
Hey, what's
Nick.
up, guys? I have a question for you. So, I have this app called Avatar Forge, and I was looking to kind of add more features to it. And one would be making an avatar system for the spatial web. So we started working on that. Is like a VRM rig? Does that work in here well? Is my first question, and then um, the follow up on services is there a way that I can work with you guys to get that service available prior to the the native browser?
I thought you were really going to take that one, but I'll be happy to do that. So we had an internal discussion. Um, I, you know, I think these avatars are the best they could ever possibly be. Don't you all think that? But some people in our company disagree and think that maybe it would be much better if we had an upgrade to our avatars. And so the conversation is no. Honestly, I think everyone in our company agrees that we could stand to have much improved avatars, but given the size and resources of our company and what we need to build, we don't have the focus or the resources to do that. That said, if you want to do that, because this is an open world, that would be spectacular. In fact, you and
Yeah, that's
we
what I'm
can start a
working on.
Discord channel to anyone who's interested in upgrading the avatar system. We would love that contribution and participation. I will say very briefly that the constraints on avatars are very drastic inside the metaverse. So we're looking at avatars that are much closer to 20 kilobytes than they are to 20 megabytes. So VRM is we believe the future of what the
Standards, yeah.
avatar what the standards are that we're going to follow. Right now, everything that we have are avatars. We have a one skeleton that's shared across all of our avatars, and everything we have is built kind of custom by Yinch. But yeah, we would love to have an upgrade. And Sean was saying, hey, there's one feature we really need to do is upgrade the avatars, and I'm saying, well,
Yeah.
I don't disagree, but we just don't have the time. But we can absolutely make the time to help you help us do that, because that would definitely
Awesome.
Yeah.
reduce our
And
resources.
And there's standard bodies right now that are trying to make interoperable avatars. And you have the challenge of a couple of things. One is you need a really complex LOD system. So let's say if it's just 4 of us in a space, well, then our avatars can be much higher fidelity and bigger, scope as far as size of information on the avatar. But as you enter with a lot of people here or even bigger people, it reduces your LOD because you have to be able to render everything around you. Obviously, as Dean mentioned in WebXR, extremely limited. Once we get to the native browser, that's going to unlock a lot more bandwidth and a lot more ability to get higher fidelity, not only visuals around us, but also avatars as well. I do believe at some point there will be an open avatar group that standardizes. In fact, the Chronos group and Metaverse Standards Forum are working in tandem around standards around 3D avatars so that everyone will use a standard, whether you have a private company, metaverse solutions, or you want to work with the open metaverse, and it works across the board. And so I think that's super important. I do believe VRM is going to be potentially at that forefront as far as the standard goes. And then I believe a lot of contributions. But yes, we definitely need better avatars. We just don't have the team size and the bandwidth right now. But yes, it'd be great. So we'll maybe start something on Discord with an avatar group, and everyone can contribute there, and we can do the best to give information on how it would work within the browser.
Let me just say what kind of uphill battle that you're looking at, though, which is that, but because of WebEx, our convention is that within the scene we can handle about 200,000 triangles within a 200-meter radius. So if we just glance all the way around and look at all the buildings and everything, and kind of just in your mind think about how many triangles it takes just to do that, right? And so there's about 20 people standing right here. So if each avatar were 2,000 triangles, just in the people standing here, that's 40,000 triangles of the 200,000 budget. And so that's one of the reasons why our avatars are the way that they are. So if we are going to build a new avatar system, and then the other thing is transmission, right? And even with the native browser, we still have to worry about transmission. So if you get an avatar that's a megabyte, average avatar is a megabyte, which seems kind of small for most people, but with 20 people here, anyone who comes in the scene is going to be hit with the 20 megabyte download. If you go over the plaza where there's 1,000 avatars, you're going to be hit with the gigabyte download. So there's the transmission problem and the triangle problem that both have to get solved for the metaverse.
And I think there's some solutions that we kind of have a grasp on. It could be a parametric based avatars where there's shared mesh systems. So you don't have to replicate downloading different meshes for every single thing. There's kind of a uniform, if you will. And then all the updated information needs to be is what is actually on top of those meshes, which makes it a lot less information that needs to be sent. And so no one's ever had to solve this problem, Nick, where in typically pre-compiled applications, you're downloading all the assets and all the information, whereas with the metaverse, everything is streamed. There's no installs, there's no anything. So everything has to work better. And no one's thought about this. And this includes this scene. People are going to come up with ways to make this Unreal level, but still low weight. But there's never been a need for it until this type of project. And I think hopefully someone's going to raise their hand saying, we need to figure out how do we get Unreal level graphics, but at a transport level that is conducive for streaming and working instantly. And so I believe a lot of really technical people will figure out and solve those problems, including avatars that will have a vast LOD system and the ability to have shared meshes in ways that it can easily transport one mesh for 1,000 people, but then the updates of how those meshes, what's on top of those meshes and how they look different, whether they're male, female, an animal, or robot, or whatever that looks like. And then I think once that system is built, it's going to be unbelievable, right? And you'll be able to easily change from one persona to another. Maybe, like I said before, if it's the 4 of us, we'll have these really lavish, cool avatars. But as we go into larger groups, it'll be toned down naturally in the location to conform to what the browser can handle. So lots of cool technical things that need to be solved there.
Yeah. For anyone who's interested, I'm doing hand puppets on the wall behind me.
Hey, by the way, everyone check out the sunset. Everyone look over, right over there.
No, check out my hand puppets over on the wall.
No, don't do his hand puppet. You got to look at the sunset.
No, the hand puppet's over there on the wall.
No, but the sunset's over there. The sunset's really cool. Look at the sun going down.
Yeah, the sunset is very nice, but the hand puppets are really cool over there.
Any other questions? Happy to go down any rabbit hole or anything. Yeah,
I
Gabe?
was gonna say, what about like private fabric?
Let's go Gabe first, then Biggie. I'll come back to you. Okay.
Like
Harris. Yeah,
private fabric.
Oh, Harris. I'm sorry. Yeah, Harris. Yep.
Specific things like, for example, like I was thinking of my fabric and how like if I were to have like a meeting room and different things were controlling like who's in what rooms and stuff, like how would like services sort of that would be specific to an individual's fabric work?
Yeah, so we have known about that for a long time. It's not currently built in the browser, so we have AV boxes in the pipeline, which stands for audio video box, that will allow you to voice constrain and visually constrain the avatars within a region. So, for example, we can cordon off this stage with a certain AV box that broadcasts audio out of the box to people who are standing outside differently than for people who are inside the box. So if we wanted to set up this area, anyone on stage could be heard very clearly, whereas everyone, let's say we create a bigger AV box outside that kind of reduces the volume so that you don't hear all the crosstalk. So that is in the pipeline for our audio system. And in terms of privacy for your spatial fabric, right now everything's publicly open, so we don't prevent anyone from going anywhere, which is a problem for us too, because if you guys were to walk up on stage right now, and we can't stop you from crossing the line. So everything is public at the moment. When we get to the native browser and we get a larger team, those things will be more manageable. You just have to understand that if you look around and look at all that we've accomplished, and everything that is currently built in has been done predominantly by about 3 programmers. So we're going to get to all these things. It would be much better if we were to say had 300 programmers like some of our competitors, or 3,000 programmers like the Metas of the world. We could clearly accomplish a lot more in a lot quicker time. So
Yeah.
it is
Guys, you're
coming.
just
The more
not
that you
working
guys
hard enough.
participate, the bigger that this world gets. The bigger that the Meta. I didn't hear that comment, but it's apparently funny. The bigger that this whole open ecosystem grows, the more people get involved, the quicker that we will
Well,
be able to deliver that.
And I want to add something to Dean. So imagine if we had to wait for Roblox to
Yeah.
build everything that we need for the entire spatial
Oh,
internet.
even worse. Imagine if
And
Roblox only had 3 programmers.
yeah. And so imagine if we had to wait for them. Now, this is actually even better for probably most of you here. If you wanted to be a tool company, or you want to be a service provider, you want to be these things, you're no longer stopped by anyone from building those things. And so that's why a native browser is needed, because this will go 10,000 times faster than any one major company. And the best thing, I don't know, some of you might remember, AOL was a multi-billion-dollar company, and their sole job was to keep you inside of their ecosystem. In fact, everyone referred to the internet as AOL for quite some time. But once someone built a web browser where anyone could become a tool company, anyone could build any component, and you had the complete freedom of an open internet, AOL could not keep up with the amount of programmers and individuals that wanted to create their companies and build components of that open standard and open World Wide Web. And that's what created the World Wide Web. And the same thing, we're at that same inflection point. You are all stuck at the mercy of Roblox or Meta, and they can tell you what you can or cannot do. They throw money at you just to do some use cases to use their ecosystem, be stuck in their ecosystem. And what they don't realize is that if they were to help build the open ecosystem, they would be able to sell a lot more headsets, and they would be a lot more opportunity. And so they're hurting themselves by going this route, because even with billions of dollars, they can't go as fast as people like you building the components, because that will literally surpass them very, very quickly. So these are early days. We are the first company to see the entire vision, all the necessary architecture, and actually IP that we're going to give away for free to make this work. And we easily could have become the next Meta and build just a closed ecosystem, but we knew that's not the way. And we have literally, as founders, agreed that we're going to build the open standards and push every single thing to make sure it is fully open for everyone to build and own their own piece. In fact, not only do we have to do that, but all the Fortune 2000 plus companies can't move forward moving to spatial infrastructure without this in place. They're all proof of concepts. You can't beat device lock-in. You can't. They built for the HoloLens, and a lot of them got screwed when HoloLens ceased to move forward, because they can't move the software they built for the HoloLens to another device. And there's no way they're going to repeat multi-millions of dollars of software to repeat that same problem. They're going to want to build that software for an open ecosystem that will exist with any device. And so this is really a really major milestone for our entire industry. And it's for not just us to try to build on our own. It's literally for all of you guys to participate. And we're racing as fast as we possibly can. The native browser will unlock everything. And today you could start building the metaverse server. You could start building services. You could build hosting companies. There's so much opportunity right now, and the opportunity will only increase once we get to the native browser, which is very soon, by the way. And we're going to have some hopeful big announcements with a major standard body to show you that the direction can happen. We're going to need funds, or that open standard body will need money so they can build and architect the first native browser, but they'll be using the entire layers and things that we've outlined in this prototype. So Harris and then Biggie. I think I just want to get Harris a chance, and then Biggie will come to you. So
Harris,
go for it.
Biggie, and then I have an announcement too.
Okay.
After Biggie.
Oh, yeah, definitely applaud the fact you guys are building on open standards. I think that's amazing. And I also applaud the fact you guys are building in public, which is also definitely amenable. So definitely, it seems like there's a lot of open opportunity, and this is sort of ground floor, and you're inviting the community to jump in. There's probably several areas that need work and need help. Do you have, so if I wanted to sell that chessboard, is there a marketplace? Are those things that are being built or should be built by the community, or is that coming in the native browser?
So
That's
one question. I have a few questions, but yeah, that's one.
Okay, so great question, and I'll answer it, and then you can go to your second one. So that marketplace will be no different than how the World Wide Web works, right? So there'll be many marketplaces that will contain explanations or places that you can learn about services and whatnot. I think the native, right now, if you were to build a service, there's really no way to attach it, as we've been explaining, because of WebXR and not having a native browser. Once the native browser is created, the entire construct and architecture of a native browser is to connect to anyone that builds a service using our real-time API solution, which we are going to open standard and open source very soon. When I say very soon, hopefully in about 4 to 8 weeks or so. It's already kind of done, but we just don't have the bandwidth to really put time and energy behind it. But that is going to be an API that will be seamless in connecting any real-time piece of software to anchoring it on a spatial fabric that a browser will. So a browser's job is to go to your spatial fabric, identify different services that may be anchored on your server, and then fetch those information from those different services wherever they reside. And giving ownership to each and every one of those components without any one company controlling that. So that's what the native browser is for. You could definitely build services. Marketplaces will eventually come about. I believe RP1 will help that process, along with, I'm sure there'll be third-party locations where there'll be people that talk about services and help people connect to them or know where they're at. So that'll be a fully open ecosystem.
Yeah. All right, let me add one more thing just to add a little color to that. Is when you build your services for an open standard metaverse, those services work on other fabrics not named RP1. Yep. So if there is a marketplace for services, let's say you build a chessboard, because we're using chess, and you drop that into a general marketplace, yes, people who are using RP1 could know about that and go, oh, I want to grab that chessboard. But if a competitor to RP1, let's say Google came out or Microsoft wanted to do another universal public fabric, your chessboard would work just as well in their fabric as it would inside of our fabric. And that's not necessarily true right now. I won't say even necessarily. If you were to build an app for Meta's glasses, do you think it's going to work on Samsung's glasses and Apple's glasses and Xreal's glasses? Most likely not. You'd probably be some porting, just like building an app for Android versus iOS. But when you build it for an open metaverse, your application, your service, will run on any compatible standard service or fabric anywhere.
Like building a plugin for a website. That will work for all website construction and be able to bring in different things to run your website. Exactly the same thing.
So while we may build a marketplace so that people can find services to run within RP1, having an open marketplace just generally on the web or metaverse anywhere, you could build the marketplace just as easily as we could. Well,
it would be the OpenSea for our,
exactly.
For the open metaverse.
Exactly. So you don't have to wait for us to build it. It might be too early to say that you could build it on your own, but at some point within, say, a year from now, for certain, someone here might be the one who builds the big marketplace for metaverse services. And that would be great.
This is the Wild West. I mean, if you think about it, if you were to go back and I were to say, hey, if we just introduced the web browser and you guys all know what's needed, what would you build? Well, you could easily say, okay, I'd become WordPress, because you realize that, wow, these websites are a really big deal. Everyone's going to need one, and they're not going to know how to program it. So we're going to build all the tools to help program it. And then someone's going to be like, wait a minute, but someone's going to be able to host these websites, because not everyone's going to be able to know how to build a web server. And then someone's going to be able to do this and this and this. There's multi-billion-dollar opportunities. And let's say, we've said this at multiple talks, whoever builds the first digital pet AI, that I can literally connect to that service so I can have a pet connected to my avatar and walk around the metaverse with me is going to be a multi-billion-dollar company. Someone that builds there's endless ideas that we know are going to happen. I mean, it's quite endless that if you build and you know that now anyone can attach and use your service, you're bound to make a lot of money and not be stopped by any one company. And so, yes, you could build your own marketplace, or you can build, but those services are across all marketplaces, just like anything built for the World Wide Web can be on multiple marketplaces as well and still work efficiently. So, did you have a second question? I think, Harris.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, definitely. I guess that would be similar to like payment rails, those kind of things. I could see
Exactly.
definitely.
Payment would be a service. Exactly. So you can actually, in fact, and not to go, I'll let you ask your question, but we eventually see there will be a consortium around payments. And services where payment companies, the financial sector, will agree on standards around deploying financial services, whether that's payments like MasterCard and Visa or Venmo or PayPal or Web3 tokens, where you can literally drop that service anywhere in the real world or virtually and instantly connect to someone's software that allows them to do transaction-based things. And so instead of you having to build your own service, they may share a standard around, hey, this is how a service is for payments. You add your little extra to the service that makes yours different, but at least let's agree upon it so we don't have to build the same software and waste time and energy with teams and whatnot.
Yeah, hopefully crypto based, some kind of X402 or something like of that nature, that kind of standard.
Oh yeah.
No, really, really cool that this is going to become open source and you're working with standards bodies and you guys are really pushing that envelope. I was curious. I do have a ton of mapping background. When you say a map and a one-to-one digital twin of the Earth, can you elaborate a little more on what that looks like? I definitely have been advising with a company that wants to build storefronts actually like on the Huntington Beach Pier.
I got you.
Real physical.
If you go to the location menu right now and type Huntington Beach,
are you going
to do it with you as we do it? If you open the location menu.
Sorry, really quick. Are you going to be integrating things like OpenStreetMaps and that kind of thing?
It's already done.
It's already done. So we actually have already brought in OSM data, OpenStreetMap data, and so you can actually go into the search, as Dean was mentioning, and put Huntington Beach, and you will literally be able to teleport yourself directly there. There'll be some boxes that represent houses and buildings and whatnot from OpenStreetMap data. A couple things. So one thing that is needed for the future of AR glasses and just a map system in general is a universal map system, which RP1 is created. We actually have a patent on the ability to render an unlimited persistent map. Because it's a really hard problem to do. Typically, you're limited on a certain size, and after that size, you can't go any bigger. You have to shard or create separate maps. And we believe if you're going to be wearing AR glasses and you're going to be walking around the real world, it needs to know, the browser needs to know where you're standing and then connect you to content based on your proximity. And so we have built a digital twin of our entire solar system, 1-to-1 scale. And we have unlimited space outside of our solar system to build anything fictitious that you could want to build. Earth's map is reserved for people that own that space in the real world. So your house, if you own a house, you own and have the rights to that XYZ coordinate space. And so you will be able to build your own metaverse server and your own spatial fabric, which is a digital twin of your house, attach it at that map location. And so when someone goes near that location with your permission, whether it's public or private, can get access to your content and be able to interact and walk your area. Same thing with Walmart and any other company, the Louvre Museum, universities, everything imaginable. If you don't own that land, you have two options. You can build outside of our solar system, whatever you want. Or you can also build what are called overlays. So let's say Yelp needs access to that entire map to be able to present software that lets you know where a burger joint is near you, or pizza, or reviews or anything. You'll be able to turn on and off that overlay that works with that universal map system. You would be able to build things that have all proximity-based things to be able to interact at those sites. And so if you have a client or someone that owns a certain area and they want to present a digital representation of that, they would immediately get access to that content, be able to build their servers, run whatever they want, eventually their own services as well that are anchored at that location, like an AI. So imagine Walmart, I walk near it, and Walmart wants an AI to say, hey, Harris, welcome to Walmart. Can I help you? And hey, where's the toilet paper? And it draws a digital line on the physical floor to help you find toilet paper on an aisle, whatever it is. Or they'll have spatial software that helps run their business as well that you connect to based on being near the warehouse. Or maybe there's software that tells make sure that you do the 10 proper steps to clean the bathroom or fold a shirt properly. There's going to be endless services that are going to run retail or hospitals or hotels, all that kind of stuff. So our map system is one large universal map system that people can take access to and build their content. And then you also can build the overlays on top of that map system as well.
Hey,
I
Sean.
love that.
Yeah,
Congratulations on that. Sean, Dean, thank you so much for your time. I'll have to drop soon, but yeah,
Yeah,
really excited for this, and I'll ask more questions on the next round.
Before you
got it.
drop,
And
if you can, open the location menu. I did type in Huntington Beach. It's 12,589 kilometers away. You can go there, and then you'll see all the white buildings. All that is data that's imported from OSM. And so the white buildings are placeholders for people who are now able to take over those locations. And you can wander around the city. You can go to Rome, you can go to Paris, you can go to small cities, big cities. There's 646 million structures that are put into the map right now. And there's about 250,000 cities in here, but it's actually way more than that. So,
and also, someone's building Star Wars at 1-to-1 scale of their galaxy outside of our solar system. There is endless opportunity to use the universal map system to build absolutely anything and everything that you want and have full control of it. So, but thanks, Harris. Anytime you want to drop by, our Discord too is a great place to connect with us, and happy to help in anything you want to do.
Awesome.
Hey, Sean.
Yes.
Sorry. I know now you can connect a fabric. How about overlays? At what point do overlays get enabled, and how are they enabled? Is
that's going to be way down the road with the native browser. So
okay.
overlays
There
are
will be
just
no
another
way to connect to the map system within this current.
So overlays would be a spatial fabric, just like the spatial fabrics that you can build right now. It's going to be the exact same service, the exact same map, but the ability to import and overlay and the user interface and everything. Overlays also require an additional service, and since WebXR and our current development platform doesn't allow us to plug in services, there's no way for us to offer overlays, because overlays not only provide the map, but they provide the services that go with it. So that's going to be something that we'll have to wait for the native browser.
Okay, cool. Thanks. I suspected that was the case, but I hadn't heard it explicitly.
And we want it today too, so bad, guys. Believe me, we've been dreaming about this stuff a lot longer than you guys. Well, some of you guys have been knowing about these concepts for quite some time, but we've been thinking about this for years and want it. We just can only go as fast as the amount of people we can bring in. But obviously, with your help, maybe we can go a lot faster.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like AWE is coming up, right? Like having an overlay that is overlaid on top of AWE. That obviously I don't own the hotel, the Hyatt, where it's being.
That's exactly what it's for. So
that's what overlay is for. So like if you wanted to build, I'll give you a great example. If you wanted to drop flowers or a picture all over the world to track where you've been, Patrick, you could build your own overlay service. And the only way I'd be able to see that is if I know about you and I'm like, oh my God, Patrick's the coolest artist. He's dropped these really cool things all over the world. And I want to be able to see them when I go there. I would then grab your overlay service, click it on, and then I would be able to see all the different things you've anchored on planet Earth. But that wouldn't affect everybody else, right? So that would be a service that I can turn on and off. And imagine that could be endless. What's possible? I mean, it's going to be. People don't realize services are going to be literally what powers the entire metaverse. People just don't know it yet because they're used to building in pre-compiled applications through Unity or Unreal where you're stuck in a small box. This allows programmability to be completely open where you can literally drop different services to accomplish anything you could possibly want. So it's going to be pretty neat. Biggie, go for it.
Thanks.
So my issue is I've been listening to you guys for almost a year now, and it's been the same thing. We have a small team. We can't fix it. We can't roll it out. We can only roll it out as fast as we can. I understand that. But you're also not giving us the ability to help you guys. You're not giving us the tools to help take some of that load off of your shoulders. And you know what I mean? Like that's the thing is that I can't move forward with my development because I don't have a way to iterate and figure out what's wrong with the thing that I'm working on. So I should have a local development server or something that I can replicate and iterate on and develop on. So that way, when it is time to flip the switch on and get it connected, that I have something that's already worked on, because it's a chicken and egg situation.
Totally.
Right.
Totally.
You guys have to build something for us to connect with and develop with, but we can't help you guys if we don't have that. And that's
Biggie,
the big issue.
I'm going to answer and I'll let Dean follow up. So you're 100% right. And I'm glad you're frustrated with excitement that you want to participate, but you're being limited in getting involved and whatnot. And I thank you for that. And I can hear it, and it's coming from a good place. And believe us, we want for you to have everything you need to do exactly what you just said. The challenge is that we still have to get to a baseline where people can actually, but we have to think about what we've accomplished with literally 4 programmers. When I say 4 programmers, 4 full-time people that were in this, we built an entire developer center, all the layers, all the browser, all these things. And we had to get to the point where at least you can build your own metaverse server and your spatial fabric. Just to do documentation alone, I would have to stop someone from programming just to spend time to document, which you can imagine is really hard to do and takes a lot of work. So once we finished with what we announced on Monday, other than some bugs and some refinements that we learned from the community that we have to be on top of, our sole job is to now build the documentation, help guide you, give you the information you need, be on Discord. And have you noticed in the last, since Monday, Dean has been on Discord. We have more people answering literally any question you can imagine. And so the goal is, over the next time, we are actually putting an internal list together of all the things that you can start today working on, and we're going to give guidance. Not only do we want to give that to you, Biggie, but we have about 100 universities that want this information as well. And so you're one of many that are like, unlock me, let me start building for this open ecosystem, so I know I'm not wasting my time. And once I build it, once the native browser is here, I'll be way ahead of everyone else with whatever that I have interest in. And so our sole job right now is to do exactly what you said: figure out all the documentation, figure out what guidance, the things that you're going to need, answer questions, be available to really help you guys help us get further along. What would really help, and no, just if one of you guys are a closet billionaire and you just don't want to tell us, money solves a lot of things really, really fast, because not only are we able to hire some of you, we can hire more people to actually work on this so that it can go a lot faster. Because once we build the native, once we announce the standard bodies we're going to work with, we still need to raise money to pay people to actually architect and build the native browser. More money we have, that can be built in 6 months. If it's less money, it's built in 12 months, or it may take a year and a half. But the goal is the community, including all the Fortune companies, including everyone else that knows this needs to happen, will hopefully contribute, because they can start building their part of it or use it for their purposes, which can make them a lot of money. And so our job is to rally a community. But I promise you, Biggie, and I'm sure Dean will reiterate this, our job is to support people like you that are just as excited to build for it and give you the resources you need. But we're not Meta. We don't have a team of like 100 people that have meetings and saying, okay, we know this guy named Biggie. All of you need to start building all the content and have it done in 4 days so that he can completely have everything he needs to start building everything. We just don't have those resources, but we will do our best. I promise you, with the waking hours that we got, to start contributing content for the outside world to know how to contribute and participate at every level. And you just have to bear with us. And so, but I do appreciate your excitement and everything. I know it's coming from a great place, and believe me, we want you to be able to build, make lots of money, be successful, because that means the open ecosystem is going to grow that much faster. So we are in support of you and everyone else that has the same excitement as far as what's going on. So thank you for that.
Related to that,
Yeah. Wait,
I was able to attach my Fabric on Monday, but is the API not documented? Is that what you were saying? That the API that this Node.js server that I'm running, that's API isn't documented.
No, you can, yes,
No,
correct.
it is
You can
correct.
attach it to RP1, but it's not documented. In fact, we would love for people to document that in how-to videos and YouTube, and to share everyone so that they know how to do it. But Dean, you can answer that a little bit more.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to actually go back to what Biggie was saying, because that relates to the announcements that I have. So yeah, you're 100% right. And I actually have not even posted on our own Discord channel until Monday. Monday was my first post, because we've been doing this for 5 or 6 years. We got to the point now where developers can actually do something. Now, can you do as much as we'd love for you to do? No, that will increase over time. But I have a half of a post in Slack to David, who's standing right behind you, literally, like, oh, no, it's the wrong, it's the other David. There was our other Davids. We got 2 Davids in our company. Anyway, so we are going to be corralling our Discord community to help on a number of items. One in particular is going to be the first one that we're going to be asking for people's help. And David, the guy who is standing right behind you, it's the project that he built, which is the scene assembler. And so, to your point, Doug, almost nothing in our in what we built in our open standard, so to speak. Almost none of it is documented to the level that it needs to be, which is to say it's not hardly documented at all. And so we have a number of features that we want to add to the scene assembler, and many of you might not even know what the scene assembler is. I'll talk about that for a moment, because that is the first product that we're going to basically not just open source to say, here's the code we've written, go ahead and use it, but we want everyone to contribute to it. David and Junior, I don't think Junior is actually here right now, worked on that extensively, and I do have a couple announcements about that for people who've started using it. But that is like the key to building up your spatial fabric. It is we're at the very, 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 very beginning. Picture Blender on its third day of release versus the way that it is now. You can imagine that it does not have the full feature set. Did not have the full feature set back then as it does have today. And same thing with the scene assembler. It's very rudimentary. It could be a lot better. We started yesterday with about 6 features that were on my list of things that we probably ought to add, and within a few minutes we got that up to about 20. I'm sure there's features that you guys are going to name that are not necessarily things that we're thinking about, but we don't want to program this by ourselves. We want you guys to help us program it. So the source code for that will be officially pushed out in a repository. It we'll slap the Apache 2.0 license on it, and then we're going to grab people who are interested in helping us build out those features. So if you want to help us build something, the scene assembler is the first thing. There are some really fun things that we can do with that, and if you want to wait for us to build it and you sit back and go, hey, we'll just wait another 4 months, then great, we'll have all those features done. But if you guys want to contribute, we can cut the 4 months down to maybe 4 weeks, and we'll have regular contributors to that. But that's not the only thing. We have a lot of things that we want you guys to help us contribute with. Universities, I know, Gabe, I got to talk to you about your university, which I'm going to make probably by Monday. I'll be able to give you a fabric that will cover your entire campus. But we're going to have a big effort with universities, likely next week or the week after, that will help engage hundreds, if not thousands, of students across the country to be able to contribute to open source products as well. So we have an internal list of the projects that we need help with contributions, starting with the scene assembler, and then we'll get to more things after that. Ultimately, we'd like to open up this client so that, we got a bunch of bugs. If you want to come in and help us fix our space bugs, that would be fantastic. But that requires a lot of intimate knowledge of.
And we really need your help. I mean, I believe all of us believe in the open ecosystem, the things that we're talking about. We're at the forefront in helping push that. And obviously, we need the world to help build this. And so the more we can recruit and build a community, I promise you, we are going to put more information out very soon, make things open source, have access. Like Dean said, put it in a repository that people can start contributing to. And the more we can recruit, I know, Doug, I know I've seen you in the Hubs Foundation, and I think Hubs was amazing. Mozilla Hubs was absolutely amazing in what it was. But I believe what we're doing will resonate with a lot of people that may want to contribute to the open metaverse in a way that's outside the current web stack and unlocks some of the things that you can't do with the current web. And so the more that we can recruit and get the messaging out, but that's really hard for a team of our size to tell the world. We're doing our best. We have press releases. We have a lot of, what I can tell you from behind the scenes, we have a lot of Fortune 2000 companies that are literally have said, without what you guys are working on, we can't move forward with our spatial infrastructure. And so we know this is going to unlock companies like Walmarts of the world to start building and deploying things that we will interact with our AR glasses or virtual spaces. And so this is a massive, massive project with a lot of people reaching out to us. And we are trying to have this community to empower you guys to benefit from it, right? We're giving you the early skinny on how to build and contribute or potentially create your own company, your own services, your own tools, your own everything. But it can only go as fast as the people that support and start contributing. And so we're going to continue to do our best to support you guys. And obviously we're here as an open book. We're answering literally any question you can imagine you have. I promise you, everything is going to be, including the API, it's going to be an open standard that you're able to take it and use it even without the browser. If you just want to connect your service to some other customers that has nothing to do with the browser, it will work and it will be completely free to use. And that's something Dean created from the ground up. It is the most unbelievable piece of software that literally magically a full chess game can show up with no installs and magically connect to it and interact with it. Like, to me, that's just it's like some of the developers on the team, they use it today and they're just like, how's this just show up, and not knowing what that piece of software looks like. And so this is all going to be shared with you guys as quickly as we possibly can, but we just need your help in building the community so we can go a lot faster.
Hey,
So
Dean,
I need to make
can
an
you
announcement for
explain
the
the
scene assembler, but
can,
what?
Dean? Can you explain the scene assembler?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. So we got to do a little bit of developer talk. Many of you have already maybe downloaded, gone to the developer center, created your developer account, and installed your metaverse server that Junior and David have created, so that it made it very easy for you to install that using Railway. And so one of the products that comes in that package, and it wasn't promoted or marketed with that installation, but it will be more so because it wasn't totally 100% finished. Is the scene assembler. And so what the scene assembler allows you to do is take objects that you have in your possession. So it's not designed to create objects. That's what Blender and other object creation, 3D object creation tools are for. But once you have 3D objects, the scene assembler allows you to take those objects and arrange them into a scene graphically, and it's done through a website. So no software needed to install. You just go to the scene assembler. It will connect directly to your spatial fabrics map. It will load up the scene, one or more scenes that you've built in there, and then allow you to modify those scenes and publish them back to your map. It is really easy to use. It is a awesome tool, and so it would be used for creating a space like this. So if you have a 3D object of the pavilion and a 3D object of the stage and a 3D object of the background scene, you could take those three objects, drop them in your scene, move them around, and then it would publish those to the map. And it would, you can rotate them, you can scale them, you can move them forward and backward, left, right, and up and down, and put them exactly where you want. And it's a really, really super easy tool to build. So that's what the scene assembler is. It is a product that is going to go through huge amounts of development. Right now, it only works for physical objects, which are things that we can see and touch, but ultimately should work for the terrestrial objects, which is what we use to create the surface of the planet, and celestial objects, which is how we position things around the universe. And we have a lot of features that are missing from it, and things that we'd like to put in the world, such as lights. We'd like to enable you to drop in video screens and speakers for your audio and other things. And those features are on the feature list, which we'd like to have you help us build. So very important announcement for those of you who did download this on Monday or Tuesday. There was a significant bug in there, which could cause you to lose all your data. We apologize for that. So anyone who has not updated and is tinkering with this right now, just know that unless you get the latest software, you run the risk of losing your data. So I know many of you probably haven't tinkered with it yet because it wasn't intuitively obvious how to get to it. But so you will need to do a software update as soon as possible. I'm going to recommend that you just be patient and wait one more day, because the update process also is somewhat buggy, and that will also be fixed in the next update. So if you wait until tomorrow to update, it should be a pretty smooth update. You can get the update today, but then you're going to need to potentially back up any work that you've done and then put that back in there. So we'll discuss this more in Discord. We'll make a post that shows you how to upgrade it between today and tomorrow, or if you just wait till tomorrow, the update process should be pretty standard. So let's just fast forward till tomorrow and assume that everyone waits and you just get the update, and now the scene assembler is at your disposal. We want to make it a lot better than it is. It's already pretty damn good. I wish Junior was here. He could talk a little bit more about it. Dave, you're welcome to come up on stage and talk about it if anyone has any specific questions as well. But we would like next week to invite all of you to participate in a discussion, which we'll have either here or in Discord, to talk about the future of the scene assembler and how you can get involved in helping us make it better. There are, like I said, we've got about 20 features we'd like to build in. You could say, hey, I'll build this feature, or I'd like to help on that feature. Or maybe you just want to contribute and say, hey, here's 4 more features that you should consider. And so that will be, but the first thing we need to do is we need to officially turn it into an open source, Apache 2.0 product, get everything right with our repositories. But after that, we can just all go to town. So if you're interested in that, if you're a coder and you want to help us make that better, it is web-based. So we're talking JavaScript. And maybe a little Node.js is in there. But please join us next week, and we can have a in-depth conversation about which features we should prioritize and who wants to help us do what. Dave's back there. So if anyone has any questions about the scene assembler,
Yes.
anything you think of, just fire away. Will.
Oh, question. Why are you making your own versus forking an open source like Ethereal Engine or Hubs?
Why are we making our own scene assembler or our own world?
Yeah, your scene assembler versus using the assembler from Hubs or Ethereal Engine?
Boy, that's
Well,
a
Hubs
good question. If I knew that Hubs did what we needed it to do, we probably would just fork that and use that. So, to be honest, I was not aware that Hubs had a scene assembler. So, why we didn't do it is probably because we didn't know about it. We can definitely take a look at it and see if there's anything in there that would be useful. But certainly, if what we're doing, we looked around and we could not find what we needed, and so that's why we just threw one together ourselves.
Have you seen Infinite Reality? It used to be Ethereal Engine.
Yes. Not in depth. We know about them. Sean knows. You can talk about them more than I can, but
you have to. There's a couple of nuances that we have to separate. And Jay, I don't know if you heard some of our stuff in the previous. Building for the web stack is going to be very, very different than building for the open metaverse. And so the current web stack has a lot of limitations with iframes, the DOM, and a whole bunch of other memory segmentations and whatnot. And so a lot of times people are used to building for like Unity or Unreal, which are a pre-compiled, very monolithic gaming engine that is restricted within their ecosystem. What we're talking about is building open standards where if you build for something, it will work for the open metaverse and the browsers that we're talking about. And so we started a scene assembler that to jumpstart the ability to attach and build things for your spatial fabric. And eventually that will have a life of its own where it would be equivalent to like Blender for websites would be a scene assembler would be for building your spatial fabric. And if there is something out there, like Dean said, we're happy to take a look at it and see if that would solve. And by the way, this doesn't stop anyone from building their own scene assembler or other tools that they find would be better in building out your own spatial fabric. We are just jump starting or priming the pump or whatever phrase that you want to use the ecosystem. But all of you that have been building 3D scenes and different things for a decade or two are going to know better on the things that you want to see. And then people can say, wow, I really like what Jay created as a way to build my spatial fabric. No different than in building a website. I have a lot of different decisions I can make. If I'm a huge programmer, I can build it from scratch. I can use WordPress. If I need low code, I can build a Squarespace or through Wix or use Canva. The same thing's going to happen for the open metaverse. There's going to be a myriad of tools and companies and individuals that provide ways to build your spatial fabric based on your technical capabilities and be able to deploy those scenes and conform to the standards necessary for it to all work. No different than you have to conform to how to build websites, because you can't just build anything you want. You have to make sure it will work with Chrome and Safari and Edge and all that kind of stuff. So this is our attempt in jumpstarting the ecosystem, and we believe people will contribute to it. Jay, you brought that up. We'll definitely take a look at it and see if Hubs, in fact, it would be great if someone at Hubs would say, okay, we love Hubs, but it's really limited. The thing that RP1's talking about is the next wave of where things are heading for the open metaverse, we would love to contribute our time, and maybe we take the scene editor at Hubs, convert it to something that will work for open spatial fabric development, and that's a project in its own. And those are the things I was trying to explain to Biggie, is that we're just trying to jumpstart. It's not, and I hope you guys are excited that we don't want to build it, right? Because that means that we really are putting the money where our mouth is, meaning that we don't want to be a closed, monolithic ecosystem like Meta, where you do not have the ability to participate or make money or create things that people are going to want. And so, so I appreciate that comment, Jay. We'll definitely take a look at it. But hopefully, if you're really in tune to the community at Hubs, maybe you guys can take a look at that along with our spatial fabric and tell us, yeah, this is better, and we're going to start telling everyone to use, that scene assembler to build spatial fabrics instead of the one we're building. Totally fine with that.
So I got a suggestion for your Discord channel.
Go for it.
Just because you don't necessarily assign roles to people. It's kind of opened up. I would suggest that you take and set up a developer role so that you don't end up getting a lot of people like me that don't know anything about coding jumping into channels that they shouldn't be in.
Yeah, how would you maybe how do you identify someone that is a not very knowledgeable versus very knowledgeable? I mean, obviously, once we know people have a capability, we can assign
first of all,
a role. Yes.
yeah, some of the you can identify somebody that knows what they're what you're talking about pretty quickly when you start talking about using different programming languages or some of the stuff you were talking about, the web stack and stuff. You'll identify them pretty quick.
Yep.
So that wouldn't be hard. I'm just giving you an option to rally the actual developers versus people like myself that really don't know about coding. It's just an idea.
It's a great idea, and we'll definitely do that. And then, in fact, one of the next channels we should probably put in there, Dean, is probably a scene assembler channel that people can talk about just the scene assembler in one of the categories. And so we'll add that today, and then that way people can contribute. And then, yes, I believe once people contribute more, like Gabe has been absolutely amazing, and if he keeps wanting to do it, we can assign a title to him to help really manage Discord, because you've been absolutely amazing on that, Gabe. And I'm assuming other people, as they start contributing, they're going to want to be able to start having their own discussions with their community around things that they're building for the open metaverse. And so we'll definitely work with you guys to expand our Discord capabilities to enable that. So, Mark, it's a great idea. I appreciate that.
It's not like you have anything else to do,
No, it's good. I love it. Will, did you have something? I know you've been trying to inject. Do you have a question, Will?
Yeah. My manager was in here, but she's not here anymore. But I work at SoCal Edison. It's like an energy company in California. And
I'm from LA. I use LA Department of Water and Power, but yeah, SoCal's great.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
I'm an Edison guy. I use
okay, gotcha. Yeah. So I develop like VR training stuff for like fieldmen and then like just like employees in general. And what my manager thinks would be valuable is you actually claim our like spaces, offices, and like substations. And then, and yeah, so it'll be cool to like have the ability to bring in photogrammetry models and then assets, and then actually have these realistic looking spaces all mapped out exactly where our substations are. Do you think? Yeah.
So you can build your own spatial fabric. We are under the constraints of WebXR. So it's not a constraint of RP1 and any of our technology. It's a constraint of using WebXR to render that location. When we build a native browser, the fidelity of that location will only increase by a lot. Because installing a native browser means we get access to your local resources versus being in WebXR. But however, you can push the limits of WebXR as much as you can try and upload different things. But we are happy to give you, and not only happy to give you, but that's what the project's for, is that you identify where your locations are on the map, and we can work with you. You will get ownership of that. No one else will. And you can build your own spatial fabric on your own metaverse server, own all your assets. We have no access to any of that assets. And when people go to that location, they will instantly connect to your server and render all that information that you want them to interact with. And then once a native browser is built, you'll be able to build services, video. You'll be able to drop AI that greets people, videos. In fact, you'll actually be able to do videos today. You'll be able to take your own live or recorded videos and instantly connect anyone that goes to that location with whatever you want. And all of that is kind of spelled out. We're helping to guide you. But we do have some of those services that are described, that are shown here, that will be limited to those services. But eventually, when the native browser, you'll be able to build anything you want with the full ecosystem.
Yeah.
But happy to love to see you do it.
Let me give you the kind of the how we're going to get to where you want to go. So first of all, definitely get a hold of me on Discord. I'd like to help you set that up. You can create a special fabric, host it on your own company servers, plug it in RP1, put it somewhere on the earth to the nanometer. Literally, we go down, I don't know how many dozen places, but it'll get you to the nanometer. Now, what we're missing is, at the moment, we're missing VPS. And so while it is that you can place it into the map to the nanometer so that you can get to it in VR, you cannot walk through your offices yet in AR. AR is one of our primary focuses, and probably the number one thing that we'll be showcasing something at AWE will be around AR. But AR is definitely coming down the road. So it'll be built into the native browser from scratch. And once the AR comes online, and I'm sorry, the VPS comes online. Did I say AR the whole time? Once VPS comes online and you do have AR devices, when you get to your facilities that are located in the map, they will be there. Okay. So anyone walking around your office, if you want to start digital twinning your office right now, and I'm gonna work with Gabe. He's got a university. We got a bunch of universities that are doing this. You can get them, and we have a couple examples. There's a Sawhorse location that is actually a twin of their location. We're going to relocate that to where they're located, somewhere in Los Angeles, I believe. But if you go right now to Southern California and you open up the map, and you know of a city, I'll bet you, because we've got about, I think I was talking earlier, we got over 500 million structures in the map right now. And so you can go to a location, there's probably a big white cube sitting where a building should be. And so I'm going to help you find, and if you know where all your properties are, we can take out the cubes, and when you plug in your special fabric, you can put your facility in there, and you can make a complete digital twin of it. And at least it will be there for VR, but just know that as soon as AR and VPS come online, it's the same data. It's the same map. Anyone who is accessing it with VR now will be able to join someone in AR, which is great, right? How many other platforms do you have that crossover where people from AR and VR can communicate seamlessly?
Yeah.
And so
that would be amazing.
And Will, we can demo that today. So if we want to bring you and your team, and we've done this for a lot of Fortune companies, we can actually have you come in through an AR link. You need an Oculus Quest 3 for the pass-through. And so what happens is today we actually had a major company, and we before this meeting, where they had their entire team AR. I showed up in VR, and so I'm rendering everything around them, and there are floating services like a movie and like a light bulb similar to the ones that are out here, and they could only see their office wherever they were at and the floating services. They didn't need to render the location because they were actually at their location. And so it worked absolutely amazing. And so the whole goal is, that's why a lot of people are like, why do we need a 3D browser? It's not just for virtual spaces. It's for the future of all AR. I mean, so now someone in virtual reality can actually show up at your office, as long as you make it public or private, or I have access to it, or I'm an employee. That's completely your control, just like you control your web server. But now the browser's job is to connect any user, whether an AR or VR, device agnostic, to that location. And so once you build and deploy that, you can build all the services you need to interact that are proximity based. And so that's the power of what the 3D browser will do.
Okay. So technically, you have the technology where you can share space in VR and AR right now, like in MR.
That is correct.
Correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
The only thing that's missing right now is to make it easy for use is we need to connect a true VPS system into our prototype. And then the native browser the architecture is to be VPS agnostic as long as it conforms to the standard, and also render agnostic. So you can put in, so that means if you wanted to build a competing browser, you could put in a different VPS system as long as it conforms to the standard and your own rendering engine. But that's the purpose of the open native browser. And so in that VPS system, when you're connected to the browser, no matter what your device is, it will know exactly where you're standing in the real world and connect you to the services that are anchored by the people that own that spatial fabric at that location. And so it gives Edison the complete control to have anything you want, whether it's AI greeting you, education. You could have someone that's remote join someone in the field, see what they're seeing,
that's
and
where I
interact.
see a lot
It's
of
going to
value.
unlock. This is going to unlock the entire corporate use across the world, where you're going to move from web infrastructure to full spatial. And everyone's been waiting on this tech. We just need to advance it. So one thing we do need from Edison is a nice big check, so we can go a lot faster. So you guys can implement your strategies. But hopefully, lots of corporations will donate to the open project once we announce the standards form that we're going to be working with. And then once we build the native browser, your entire team will be unlocked to build anything imaginable, whether it's real-time services, your spatial fabric. Right now, you can build your spatial fabric and prototype the heck out of it and do really amazing things with complete ownership, by the way. Like, we don't own any of your assets. Like, we have no control over what you build, which is fabulous. And then go from there. But we're happy to help with you. So please definitely reach out to us on Discord. We can have some separate meetings, and happy to guide you as far as how to build some of the stuff to get you started.
I want to also say, you said something at the very beginning, which is you're using it for training right now. And we were at AES in Dallas back in, I think it was September, and we talked to at least 50, 60 enterprise level companies. So Exxon, similar to you guys, they're in the petroleum business. We talked to a water management company, not electricity, but water management. These industries, your industry is highly regulated up and down the chain. And we heard over and over and over again that we can use this for training, but we can't take any of this into the field. And so what this open metaverse enables enterprise companies to do, because you're now like to say, oh yeah, we're Edison's just going to take all of our stuff and we're just going to build it in Horizons. That's a joke, right? It's a non-starter. This allows you to deploy your spatial infrastructure identically to the way that you deploy your web infrastructure. And so you will be able to do so and follow all of the, all the different regulations, the government, federal, state, local regulations that you have to follow, because all that's within your control. And it will plug in to the you'll have your own fabrics. We have, our public fabric, but you could use your own primary fabric to control all your stuff if it's that highly regulated. But yeah, AR, VR, you name it, it's all connected. And within, I'd say, about a year's time or so, you guys will be able to do just about everything that you've been hoping you're able to do. Because just like you have webs, I'm sure you've got your whole web infrastructure that you run your entire company off of. And if you manage to do that for web infrastructure, this enables you to do the exact thing for spatial infrastructure. So definitely get a hold of me on Discord, and we will help set you up so that you can at least get started. And by the time the native browser rolls out, you won't have to do anything. It'll be set to go. It'll just all kind of, you just keep adding.
I could imagine you guys building an overlay with all the meters, with all the homes you represent. And when someone actually goes to a home, they could turn on that overlay and instantly see the type of meter, all the information, guide them on actually how to control that. And so, and 100%. You would be able to deploy that with no installs whatsoever. And it would be device agnostic. So as devices get better, you don't have to worry about starting from scratch each and every single time. Once you build once and it works for all devices going forward, just like when you build for the web, it will work on any device as well. And so that's the purpose. And then what happens is now you buy those AR glasses. Now the good thing is, and we could use your help, if Meta is reaching out to you saying, we want you to buy our headsets, I would love for you to go back to them and say, we're interested, but it has to be based on the open standards that RP1 is talking about, because that limits the risk of us building and being under your umbrella. But we still want your devices, because we do want to partner with Meta. I do believe they're on the forefront of building great hardware, but we just
hardware,
they're going to be locking you into the software. And this, what we're doing allows that to be agnostic. So we need the corporations and the companies like yours to tell them we can't move forward until this happens. And then that forces them to really get behind the open standards and make this happen faster, so your department can be successful. And so we're working in tandem. So we're asking a lot of the Fortune companies that we're working with to really push on the headset manufacturers to conform, because that's the only way that they're going to listen to us, is when the customer says, we need this. what can you do and all that kind of stuff. In fact, I'd love to do a post on this because I think it's important on how what you guys are trying to accomplish and what is needed. If you're okay with that, we could do like a LinkedIn post or kind of really share a white paper or use case on what is limiting your ability to really deploy the most important spatial stuff for your company. So we could talk about that offline as well.
Be a great case study.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well,
yeah,
connect with
thank
me
you.
on LinkedIn, by the way, Will, and I'll add you. Okay.
Yeah, well, all right.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other questions? Anything else?
Oh, I just want to make one comment. If you do install the sample and everything, and I don't know, this might be part of the improvements you're talking about, Dean. Just be aware not to share your URL too freely, because or put your own authentication in place, because literally you can go to anybody's spatial fabric if you have the URL and just edit it.
You can. The code that will allow you to control access to that is coming in. I believe the next update or the update. Have we done? I mean, I know it's there's code in there for the admin, but you want to speak to
yeah, I mean, yeah, if I may say something, it's because Dean and Sean like to talk your guys' ears off here. But no, the scene assembler. Just two things actually before I get to the admin piece. One was, I think someone was asking a question why we didn't use a different other product. I'm not familiar with that product, but
Hubs. Yeah.
Hubs,
Mozilla
sure.
Hubs. Yeah, Mozilla Hubs.
But the main purpose of the assembler really isn't to try to take over or replace existing editors. There are far more sophisticated editors, and we wouldn't dream of trying to build something of that level of capability. It was more because we needed something that could take specific objects, and be able to translate them into our data the way we needed to have them in our database, or not our database, but in the database file that we're shipping, so that everything works seamlessly and communicates. It's which partly has to involve placing objects at a specific space with specific rotations and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the but that was kind of like the side effect, but really it was just more of being able to give you the capability of getting the data into the system. As far as the administration goes, we do plan to put in a very basic Weber user authentication in there. By no means is it supposed to be government secure or anything like that, or anything sophisticated, but just enough so that nobody can just go in there and just start mucking with your data willy-nilly. And we hope to have that done in the next couple days. And the last thing I'll say too as well is that there is another project that goes in parallel with the railway project. It's the generic project. It's more it's has less documentation, almost no documentation whatsoever, but it is far more flexible as to what you can do, and what its primary use really is for people who really know what they're doing, and want to do some, want to be able to, for example, not be limited to MySQL, and they want to run their stuff on SQL Server, or they want to go in there and be able to initialize and use the database and stuff in very specific ways. So I recommend that you look at that stuff and play around with it if you feel comfortable with it, and that's about it.
Any other questions, please?
I just wanted to ask if anyone set up a fabric and attach it that we could all go and look at.
Yeah, there's actually, if you go right through the wall here and go that way about 50 to 100 meters, you'll see a default fabric. That's the fabric that would gets automatically installed when you download and set up your railway system. So that's a copy of it. You can look at that one. There are some other ones that are floating around. I could find the names of the companies. There's some on Symmetra and Corona. Does everyone know that there's a couple new planets? Actually, Corona is a planet and Symmetra is a moon that goes around that planet. It's way, way, way far away. So there's a couple places you can visit out there. And we have some developers who are creating some original spaces who have taken away the default one that we give you, what we call the hello world example, and started putting their own content in there. Oddly enough, so we had this big announcement on Monday, and while we were standing on stage talking to the crowd during the Q&A session, someone actually raised their hand and said, "I don't have a question. I just want to let you know that while Sean was blabbing away," I think is what he said. Is that quote? I quote, "While Sean was blabbing away," he said, "I went and signed up as a developer, downloaded it, installed it. Everything took me 15 minutes. It worked perfectly." So
that was Patrick. I think that was Patrick.
Yeah.
Was that you, Patrick?
No, it was Steven.
No, that was Steve.
Steve Van Loon.
I was
that's Steve Van
an
Loon.
hour later because I was actually listening. I was listening intently to Sean blather on. So
see, Patrick. See, there are people that pay attention, right? Like
Junior, our guy who's developed it the most, he says he's gotten the full install down. He says his record is somewhere between 2 and 3 minutes. So literally, if you know exactly what you're doing and you hit all your keystrokes exactly right, it takes you 2 to 3 minutes at minimum to install it. But on average, we've been hearing people say that it works fairly flawlessly within about 15 minutes, and it's totally free. So
nice, very good.
And so you're yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Just how you get a fabric listed on your locations bar once it's ready.
Hi, I'm sorry. Someone's typing away really loudly to my right in my ear. I can't quite hear what
David,
you said.
You want to mute that, David?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Could you ask that one more time?
Yeah, I'm sorry. So I've created a fabric and put it on Corona. Is there going to be a way to list the fabrics on your location finder at some point?
Yes. So it's actually in the location finder. Let me explain this. And we need to put something on screen to make this more clear. So we're not Google. And we do not have the type of technology it would require to search the entire known metaverse. So let's fast forward a little bit in the future. Sean mentioned there's someone who's going to be building the entire Star Wars galaxy. There are some 2,000 star systems in the Star Wars galaxy, and let's imagine each star system has a couple of planets or at least one planet that's inhabitable. And so now we've got an entire world with thousands and thousands and thousands of planets. So if you type in a search term, we're not effectively capable of searching the known metaverse for everything. And so your current searches are restricted and localized to the fabrics that you're currently in or around. And so we send, like you're standing on Earth right now. So as you search, your search results are sent to the celestial RP1 fabric and the Earth fabric. And if we were standing near another fabric, we would send search results there. So let's say Gabe's university, we're on his university in the middle of his campus, then the search things would go to his fabric as well. So in order to search Corona, you have to actually be on Corona. And when you're on Corona, you're not searching Earth. Imagine Corona were a really, really, really highly populated planet, which it's not right now, but maybe someday in the future it will be. And you type in Starbucks. You don't want Starbucks here on Earth. You want the Starbucks on Corona. So to make a short story long, if you type in search into location finder, it is localized to the fabrics that you're in. So when you go to Corona and you type in your fabric's name, the venue name that you supplied, I would bet anything that it will show up there.
Yeah, and the other cool thing, Adam, too, is you have your own URL. So that doesn't mean that you have to force people to come into RP1 proper. Like you go into Roblox, you literally would give them a URL. They click it. They would get a screen that basically says guest or member. And if they hit guest, they put their name in and they will go directly to your location. And just
Yeah.
like the web, if I go directly to Amazon.com, that doesn't mean I can leave Amazon.com and go to Nike or any other website that I want to go to. And so you have control of people going directly to your space, interacting with what you do, but they have the freedom to hang there or now leave, because if they're in the open metaverse, they can now go to a university to take a class at 8 p.m. or go back to my house and play chess with a friend or do whatever we can. That's the idea of the metaverse. Like I want all of us to remind ourselves the whole purpose is to be one or many personas where I now have access to everything in a persistent open ecosystem. But everyone said the technologies were 30 years away. So everyone's building their own small platform and hoping that we can find a way to connect these walled gardens. And what RP1 is about is building that big vision, building the way
Yeah.
and enabling everyone to own every single piece of it, meaning your spatial fabric, your service, your tool, your data, your revenue. Because if one company builds it like a Meta, you're going to be completely controlled by their ecosystem, by their tools, and
Yeah.
no one will be able to contribute in that way that like we do for the World Wide Web.
Yeah,
And
no,
so,
I mean, I'm totally sold on it. You've got me.
And by the
And
way,
as you say, it took me about 15, 20 minutes. I actually waited till after you finished speaking. I was very polite. And then I jumped on and got the fabric set up. I've just been mucking around with it and dropping some other objects in it. But yeah, I think I did try going into Corona and searching for it, and I don't think I could find it. But
so Monday night there was a bug,
okay.
and it was resolved Tuesday morning. And so basically someone had done something in the database at about 5:30 p.m. on Monday night, kind of borked Corona, but that was restored. And so searching and fabrics reappeared on Monday. And
Oh,
so
cool.
if you go there now, you should find it searching no problem, and you'll find your fabric no problem.
and the cool thing also is the team already is aware, and I think it's on the list. And if it's not, we got to add it to the list. But we are going to do something when you come and you search for the first time, that'll be very evident, so that people don't have to ask this question over and over again. So there's a way where you can pick which fabric you're on, whether it's Earth or this. Or
That's Sean's home internet connection. It's notorious about. Here he comes back.
Is it better now?
Yeah,
sorry
yeah,
about
you're
that.
good
Yeah, my I'm up in the hills, and I have Spectrum, which is a big company, but they tend to always. I'm literally at the end of their cable, and so I tend to get some blank. But anyway, you will be able to build. What I was just saying, I'm totally just got sidetracked.
I think you said you'd be able to select which.
On the search. Thank you.
to.
So the search, we want to make sure there's like a little wizard that greets you that says, "Hey, make sure you understand that when you search, if you're on planet Earth, your searches will be tied to that location. And if you want to search for Corona or this, you can go there and then search." And so we'll try to make that extremely evident. So that's added to the list of things that we need to do to make it clear, so that people don't question.
The URL that you get is actually location based for latitude and longitude for the celestial body that you're on. Admittedly, there's about 12 digits in there that are not necessary, and we will knock those off. But even then, your URL is going to be long and not very friendly. So you're welcome, if you have your own domain name, like adamapache.com, you're welcome to alias it. And so you can tell someone to go to, adamapache.com/RP1 or RP1.adamapache.com, and then forward that to the URL that you get, and that way it's an easy way for people to find your location.
So this URL that points to my fabric, does it point to a resource on my server or your server?
It points to a location. And so when you go to that location, like everything is proximity based, and so your fabric will load up at that location. So your fabric, the browser can't pull in the known universe. It only pulls in what's around us. So the fabric that's sitting about 200 meters in that direction, 250 meters, is not even loaded right now. But as you walk closer to it, it will appear, and then it will connect to that fabric at that time. So what we do is
it's just like Chrome. Chrome. Chrome does not load the entire World Wide Web. It goes to it when it's told which address to go to. But in the metaverse, you walk or teleport or go to those locations. So this is where we've created an ecosystem where you own your spatial fabric in that location. We just become a universal map system that ties all these spatial fabrics together to make one seamless, persistent experience. And so what you're doing is when you take ownership of your location, whether it's in the real world on Earth or outside of Earth, when someone goes to that XYZ coordinate space, as long as you've made it public or private, it's completely up to you, because again, it's your quote unquote website. When then the browser's job is to fetch that information and display it for anyone in the world and be able to interact in that space. And with you still having control on what they see, what they do, monetization, services, anything imaginable.
It was more a question. Okay, the inherent URL for the location. So yeah, normally it'll do exactly what you want it to do. In the unfortunate situation where SEBI was seeing a distributed denial of service attack on your servers, and suppose your servers were not available for whatever reason, does the URL point directly to my server?
No, the URL points to, it's an RP1.com URL. And
Okay.
so it points to our service. Now, in the future, when the native browser exists, you would be able to pick and choose who you point the native browser at. So if you pointed it to RP1, you would get our primary map, which is really, really big. If they pointed it directly at you, that's all that would be in your map. And so your coordinate system would be relatively small, and it would go directly to you, and you would manage your own coordinate system. So if we were offline for any reason, someone could still go directly to you or go to someone else's public fabric. Maybe Google's running a public fabric, and you can be in both. You can be in RP1's fabric and Google's fabric and your own fabric and Apple's fabric and Amazon's fabric and Microsoft's fabric. So yes, if anyone's offline, you can always, you have your options.
Well, with the current World Wide Web, I mean, you put up a web server and you could be the only web server on the internet and people could still reach it.
Yep.
So
it'll be the same thing.
That it doesn't have to be RP1, but it
Correct.
does have to
Correct.
go through somebody operating this bigger fabric.
No. It can go directly to you. You can point it. Basically, a spatial fabric is a spatial fabric. So right now, RP1.com goes in the URL line of Chrome. But in the future, when a native browser exists, the native browser will also have a URL line, and it's very possible that Chrome just knows what to do with MSF files. So if you open up a spatial fabric in Chrome or Safari in the future, there's a decent probability that 5 years from now or 3 years from now, it'll just render your fabric. But when we build a native browser, you'll be able to pick on the URL which fabric you start at. Yep. And if you start at RP1, then you've got an attachment inside of RP1, so we know where to find you. If you go directly to your fabric, then your fabric will load too. So you do not need a public fabric.
The biggest difference between a website and I'm certain you obviously know this, and a spatial fabric is, with the website, it's really easy for you to have a server in your garage or your back door, wherever you want to put that server, even a desktop, and run a web server and probably connect quite a few people. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people with not a very, very big computer. When you're talking about the metaverse and trying to connect users, it is very compute intensive, as you also know. And so Meta and all these companies, they're restricted between 40 to 100, depending on the fidelity of the avatars, in a
20.
single shard. And in fact, it was 20 at one point. Now they're saying 40. But even like Fortnite doesn't even have full fidelity avatars, like full 6 stuff and everything. It's like press a button and you jump, or there's animations and whatnot. And so it's really, really hard to scale. So if you want to build your own spatial fabric and connect 100,000 people, you would, in theory, still have to go get 1,000 computers in a data center to manage all of that connectivity, and which is really expensive for most people. So it's really, really hard to run your own spatial fabric. So in the standards that we're creating and the architecture that we understand, you can do that, and you have every right to do that and build your own spatial fabric. You can solve your own audio, your own 6DoF, and how you manage users. But a lot of people won't have that capability. So they may want to connect to a universal spatial fabric that provides those services for them while retaining ownership of their actual spatial fabric. So you're literally just attaching your spatial fabric to a universal map system that provides some additional services to navigate and interact at your location. And so it's your choice, and you have the freedom and all those parts. So what Dean is saying is, the native browser, you can say, I don't want to be a part of RP1, which is totally fine. There may be other competing companies, or you may say, I got plenty of money. I'm going to go build my own data center with 1,000 servers and handle the hundreds of thousands of people that are going to come to my location. You have every right to do all of that. And in fact, eventually technologies may get cheaper, but we're basically building the solve for any choice that you want. And RP1 is just going to be here as a service provider because we've solved the large persistent map problem, and we've solved the scale problem with 1,000 times less compute. So when we do charge, it's going to cost you in the dollars to run your spatial light, similar to pretty equivalent to what you would pay an outside service to host and run your web server. Whereas if any other technology, you would need about 1,000 times more compute, which would be outside the realm of most people running their own spatial fabrics. And so we have built and architected the entire vision to understand all those problems and make sure you have the freedom of choice at any level and how you want to participate. And that choice may change as technologies get better and faster and more compute, and you'll have the freedom to make decisions and change those choices along the way. Does that make more sense, Doug?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Of course.
And Sean said you'll have to solve audio and stuff like that. You won't actually have to solve audio. There will be metaverse servers that you'll just install on your
that's what
computer,
I mean.
just like anything else. They'll be solved for you. The problem is that a single computer running out of your house won't be able to handle the scale very well. So, but yeah, a lot of the stuff will be, because it is open. The open community will solve it. In fact, when we build the open metaverse browser, we're also simultaneously going to be building an open metaverse server to compete with it. We're building a free product to compete with RP1, and that will go out there, and you'll be able. I think Will was asking for it and said, yes, we need to be able to test this on our own computers and make sure it works. We're going to build that. We're going to make it possible for you to install an open source piece of software to run a metaverse server on your own computer, do all your testing. It will work perfectly. You can send people directly to you. You just might not have the capacity to scale, and that's what we're here to solve. And we handle all the bandwidth, and there's no charge for that.
Question for.
Wade, why don't you go first, and then Jay? I think Wade was first. Go ahead, Wade.
Okay, cool. I didn't know if there was a way to raise my hand.
No, you're good. That's open talk.
It's like this. You put
well, you're not in VR. See, Wade, if you were truly eating your dog food and had it in VR, you'd be able to wave and say,
I know.
I got you.
So yeah, I was just wondering, like, if someone wanted to build a tool for other people to use, and they wanted to monetize that tool, how would people find out? Like, what's the discovery look like? Are you guys providing some directory, or like?
Yeah, I think we're gonna be building a repository on GitHub and like open place where people can contribute. I think we're just getting around that. Yeah.
When you say tool, are you talking about tool? So I would define a tool as something that helps you build content, and then a service would be something that runs in world that helps people perform an action. Let's say. So are you asking to build a service or build some form of a tool?
I'm imagining, like, let's say someone wanted to build a richer permission system for other people that are building out their own locations to use.
Awesome.
So they could do like give temporal access for events, or take it away, something like that. For example, like if I wanted to build that and license it as a service to other people that are building out their locations, how would they find out that that's available?
So I can't speak for the organization I'm going to bring up, but we have been talking to someone in the Metaverse Standards Forum, and it was suggested that the Metaverse Standards Forum become a good place for people who have open source or any kind of a project whatsoever to put their repositories there, or have their services known there. And that would be great. I mean, we could do it, but again, this is an open metaverse endeavor. So we don't believe that everything should be run by or controlled by RP1. I think a Metaverse Standards Forum would be a great place for people who have metaverse-y products to list. It would be great if they took on that endeavor. Or it is an open free market, right? I was going to mention when we were talking about searching earlier that searching the metaverse is $1 trillion opportunity. In the early days of the World Wide Web, there was no searching the web. The earliest directories were replaced by bad. One second, I'm talking.
Yeah, go ahead. You got it.
So the earliest directories were handled by Yahoo, and then taken over by Yahoo did some searching, and then Google said we got this, and then searching became a thing. So I would suggest that we band together as a community. Let's start a discussion on our Discord, but it doesn't have to be run by us necessarily. I would hope that as a community, we solve this problem together and create that place. You could create it. We're a little bit low on bandwidth at the moment, but it's a terrific idea, and I'm sure a bunch of other people also want to contribute and help build tools and have a place to make them visible as well. And so, with the community as small as it is right now, or as it's just getting started, most of the people are found on Discord, but over time, it's going to become as big as the World Wide Web. And so, there's a big opportunity here to create a marketplace for these types of things. So, any way that you can imagine that happening, we would welcome, and we'll help any way we can.
Yeah,
Cool.
I
Thanks.
wasn't trying to interrupt. I'm getting a delay, so it was silent. So I thought you were done talking. But with that being said, I was just going to add to what Dean was saying. If someone were to create that, we can easily put that on Discord and channel, saying here are resources of people building for this open ecosystem that you can find different information. And it would be great even if someone wanted to catalog that in a channel as well. So again, we're here to support the community the best we can. But I agree with Dean. Again, this is less about RP1 and more about the open ecosystem. So how would one find a tool on building websites? At some point, there's different repositories out there that programmers know where to go to find tools for that open ecosystem. And you could be one of the leaders in trying to create that open space that that people will know about that can go find these tools, and you can be one of those tools. And so I'm hoping organically that will continue to grow, but we're happy to support it in any way, including on our Discord where it says like, here's a list of all the different places and different tools that exist now that you can go out and use in building your spatial fabric or, things that you might need or whatnot. So let us know how we can help, and we're happy to support in any way we can.
Someone needs to build a
Great,
Google
thanks.
spatial Google.
So
Exactly right.
actually,
Yeah.
just building a web
On it.
page, it says here's a collection of all of the tools that I've discovered for supporting the open metaverse standards that RP1 is proposing, right? And then people within our community are going to find out about it, and all of a sudden, everyone knows that your website is the website to go to find all the tools that are available. And anyone who's building a tool will know that they want it listed in your website. And that's how these things start. I mean, in the early days of the internet, I could name a site that used to do that for a particular industry, but I don't know that's family friendly. But they got really popular because if you wanted to find a certain topic, you knew that this site cataloged it all, right? So we just got to start that catalog, and I guess we could do it on RP1, but it actually would be more meaningful if it came from someone outside of RP1, I think.
Yeah, I concur.
And we'll just
Great,
we'll point to
thanks.
it in Discord, but I think it would be a lot more meaningful if someone else outside of RP1 were to build that.
We actually had someone build a supposedly, we haven't seen it yet, but a tool to convert Unity scenes into spatial fabrics. And so he knew that a lot of people would have scenes that are already built in Unity and be very interested in deploying it to the open metaverse. And they needed a way to convert it to be workable with WebXR.
Is that Christopher?
Yeah, Christopher.
Yeah, he was here earlier.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people are going to, just like, the founder of WordPress, he was like, wow, this website thing, eventually I think 1 billion people are going to need it. I'm going to build a tool to help them build websites. And he started his company, and obviously in the first couple of days, he probably didn't have a lot of customers. And eventually he had 10 customers and 100. And eventually everyone's like, I want a website. And he had the best tool system. And now, they're a multi-billion-dollar company. But then that opened up the ability for a lot of other companies to join in the foray and compete against his tools. I believe the same thing's going to happen with the open standards that we're talking about. And so we're here to help, point in any direction on how to make that possible. But we're just putting the first set of stuff out there to jumpstart this. And what's neat about what the decision we've made, and hopefully you guys are all big supporters, the majority of things we're doing does not P1. We're putting a lot of effort for a small company to actually create the standards around all of this with RP1 not even existing. And that is pretty special for a team of our size to take that on. It's really, really hard. And so I'm hopeful that you guys really get behind us more so, because it makes it worthwhile, because now this whole ecosystem can be built a lot faster. And that's why we're excited about Gabe and his university. And we have, like I said, almost 100 different universities that have all raised their hands to want to start participating. And so I believe there'll be a lot of not only students, but PhDs and teachers that are going to start building some of the standards, along with hopefully you guys and everybody else. So you guys got a jump start on an ecosystem that I believe is going to be the next open standard around the spatial internet. So it's going to be quite special. All right, any other questions?
I was going to say, one more thing is we've got a list of, I'm going to watch how I can do this. We've got a list of features, see the air quotes, that we want to implement for RP1. But they're really not features for RP1, right? They're features for the open metaverse. And so we could, if anyone wants to say, hey, I want to be involved in this and start a website of either tools that ought to be developed or tools that are in development or tools that have already been developed, we can give our list of features to you and manage it. And you could be like a point person or a point team for managing what is coming down the pipeline for the open metaverse in development. And we'd love to work with you again. That would just expand and increase the number of resources that we have available to us so that we don't have to do everything. Because setting up another website and maintaining all this for ourselves is just another it's just another little cut for us. That is one of those things that we don't necessarily have the time for. But we're hoping that someone here would like to take that on. We'd be happy to work with you. You just catalog it, and that becomes an opportunity to become a social media influencer, so to speak. In the future, people will end up looking at you and your endeavor as a expert in the field, and so we'll definitely help.
Hey, Jay, could you mute if you don't mind? You got a hot mic.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
So anyone who wants to stand up, just shout on Discord or tell me here, and then we'll talk afterwards, and we'll set something up.
So,
thank you.
Question: is anybody recording this session?
Gabe said he's taking notes. I feel bad because one of our marketing guys and also Junior's not here. We need to do a better job of that.
It's being recorded. I'm recording
awesome,
all sessions. I'll be in every week, and I'll be recording every session.
Oh, Mark, you are unbelievable. And if you don't mind, if you could post those on Discord, it'd be amazing.
Yes.
So that people, especially the one, did you do the one on Monday by chance?
Yes, I did. I'm still working on editing it out, and then I'll be posting it on YouTube here within the next day or two, and I'll post a link.
Mark, if you were here in real life, I'd give you a hug. Actually, I can do it. I can give a metaverse hug. Hold on a second, real quick. Just give it just right here. Thank you. So thank you.
Yes, I'll be here every week, and I'll record every session and post them on YouTube and push the link out to the Discord channels.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll put that. We'll actually reference it on our website as well. So I'll make sure. Once you give me the links, we'll put it on our website under events and PR and stuff. Any other questions?
Oh, I was gonna add on to the whole. One I was gonna say for the searching thing. I think right now we could just like under the location thing, we could have something that says like searching on and then list the planet that you're on, just as like a general reminder in addition to the other like thing about the locations.
Yeah,
but also
we agree.
We
agree.
Continue. I was gonna ask about the cameras from last time. Like I saw those camera accounts or whatever that were like here on
Good
Monday.
observation. Yeah, we created a way just to take an avatar where they could be in different places and they could be recording it from different angles and whatnot. I believe that capability would be fine for any spatial fabric, right?
So all the cameras were just a logged in account, and we called the account cam. I think we had cam 1, 2, and 3, and so the logged in account on a desktop computer will project whatever view it sees of the world, and then we were just using OBS to capture that into a recording. Theoretically, anyone could do that, and that's again something that we would have the ability to add cameras into the map as well. To make movable cameras, you kind of want to put them in avatar format, but that's how we did it. And there would also be nothing to stop you from doing it. So if you wanted to have an event or record something, you log in on a computer with a particular account, and then that avatar. The only thing you don't have is the ability to kind of like those guys used to be invisible. I don't know why they're not invisible now, but they show up in the form of these little triangle thingies. But right now, if you wanted to just basically log in as a user, capture the video stream, it's exactly how we do it.
Yep.
Okay, so it's not like there's nothing like special or back end or anything. It's just a user.
No, we're just logged in as a user capturing an OBS video stream off the screen.
at some point I do see a service being provided, right? So if you wanted a recording service and someone would have some type of software that it may record it for you, put it into some file, maybe edit it for you, and then for $5 it delivers it to you or free or AI, there's going to be an unlimited ways to solve that problem and make tools necessary to run your spatial fabric. We just kind of did the simplistic way for our own purposes, but I believe eventually there'll be a myriad of ways to solve for cameras and spaces.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that on Discord. How I made the Ready Player One reference to the camera that they use in that one scene that I can't remember.
Oh yeah, and this is really cool. I'm not meaning to. It's delay. I'm just
no. I'm saying no. People keep talking about this Ready Player One thing. I got to figure out what that is.
Oh yeah. So the cool thing what you're describing, Gabe, is why. So right now, if you want to build your own game, you have to build a pre-compiled game. You got to build all that code yourself. You got to go find things that are out there, and you're building your own thing. In the metaverse, there's most likely every single part that you would have built yourself will exist somewhere that you're going to pull different services that will create an experience that will be your own game. And so this is what the programmability of it not being relied on one monolithic gaming engine, and the programmability to be brought in from all different people to build different services is where the metaverse is really going to become. It's really going to become like alive, if I can say. Like remember the first little virtual worlds were like museums with NFTs, and everyone's like, okay, what next? What else do I do? There's nothing else I can do. But when you can join someone in the real world, or you can start interacting with different pieces of software, and you can start doing all these pieces pretty seamlessly, then I believe all these spaces will become alive. It's just right now, it's when you come into our demo and you look around, you're like, all right, this looks like Roblox from 1970 or something. You don't understand the importance of all the tech that we're actually trying to describe. And I think as you see, like from Edison, which is like a company that needs this for their own real world services, the AR side is going to bring alive what you can do virtually. And I think this is going to take off in ways that only probably some of us can imagine. And what's exciting is the things that we're sharing with you guys are truly going to be the standards for this ecosystem. And I know this because of the meetings we're having with people, and they know that the current web stack can't do what we're talking about and what is needed. And so there's no other project that we know of trying to solve this at scale on a global footprint, and also the standards around them as well. And so it's pretty neat. So Gabe, what you're bringing up on the camera, yeah, we jerry rig something just to make it work. But at some point, you and many other people will say, I need a service to be able to do that. And then you can charge it, or it might be a service that's free, or who knows what's going to be out there in the open ecosystem.
Or just a piece of software that runs on your computer.
Exactly.
So